Hello. So good morning, everyone. Before we proceed on our report, Let us pray. The name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Panginoon, thank you po sa panibagong araw at panibagong buhay na ipinagkaloob niyo sa amin. Nawa po ang lahat ay magtamo ng panibagong aral at panibagong kaalaman sa aming gagawin na aktibidad ngayong araw na ito. Ang lahat po nawa ng aking mga klase at kagrupo ay makiisa sa aming gawain. Panginoon, gabayan mo po kami palagi sa aming pang-araw-araw na gawain. Bigyan mo po kami ng lakas ng loob at kaalaman upang mapagtagumpayan ang aming gagawin ngayong araw na ito. Ang lahat ng ito ay dinadalangin namin sa matamis na pangalan mo, Jesus. Amen. Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. So once again, we are the group 1.
So, hi, good morning. I am the reporter number 1. I am Erica Maylordan Bakay. So, hi, good morning. Let us start the report. Lesson number 1 is Forms and Functions of State and Non-Stable Institutions. A state is a community of persons, more or less numerous, permanently occupying a definite portion of territory, independent of external control and possessing an organized government to which the great body of inhabitants render habitual obedience. Garner, 1935, page 52. So here, ang state is a community which is binubuo ng mga tao dun sa mismong lugar na yun or teritoryo na nagkakaroon ng independent control na which possess organized government na merong laging nakakagawian or sinusunod nila lagi yung parang tradition. Okay na po. Next slide po. What is a state? A state is a political organization of society, the body politic, the institutions of government. The country is a form of human association distinguished from other social groups by its purpose, the establishments of order and security, its methods, the laws and their enforcement, its territory, the area of jurisdiction or geographic boundaries, and its sovereignty. So here, ang state daw ay isang political organization. Katulad lang nito dito sa atin na which is we have political organizations na nagpapatakbo ng ating society. Like, merong mga taong nagpapatupad ng batas dun sa mismong lugar na yon. Halimbawa, here on our barangay, we have barangay captains, mga tanod, na which is nagpapatupad ng mga laws at saka the securities. A state consists the agreement of the individuals on the means whereby disputes are settled in the form of laws. In such countries as the United States, Australia, Nigeria, Mexico, and Brazil, the term state or a cognate also refers to the political units not sovereign themselves but subject to the authority of the more significant state or federal union. Doon naman sa ibang bansa like United States, Australia, Nigeria, Mexico, and Brazil, yun sa mga nabanggit, hindi nila sinosovereign yung sarili nila, like hindi sila yung nagpapailalim mismo sa batas. Sila yung sumusunod mismo dun sa batas. Parang sa atin lang din na which is nagpapailalim talaga tayo sa batas. Yun lang po. Next.
What are non-state institutions? Groups of people or organizations which are not affiliated with the national government. So ito daw yung mga grupo ng mga tao or organization na hindi daw nakaanib sa national government. For instance, they are private banks, private corporations, cooperatives, non-governmental organizations, and trade unions. These institutions have several functions and roles in our society as part of national building. Four elements of the state. Number one, sovereignty, understood as the inherent power of a state to control its internal or domestic affairs without external interference. So, ang sovereignty daw ay nagdi-define as the as the state inherent ability to regulate its internal or domestic affairs without interference from outside forces. Number two, as a sovereign state, the Philippines possesses co-equal status with other independent states in terms of rights, privilege, obligation, and duties imposed by international law. So, ang bilang isang sovereign denteng estado daw ang Pilipinas, ito ay nagtataglay ng pantay na katayuan kasama ng ibang independenteng estado in terms of karapatan, pribilehiyo, obligasyon, at duties imposed by international law o tungkulin na ipinapataw ng international na batas. Next po. Number three, one of the obligations of every state is to respect co-equal state by not meddling in the other's internal affairs. This includes the manner and method on how they control its government. So, respect co-equal state by not interfering their internal affairs is one of the obligations of every state. Kasama na dito yung asal at pamamaraan kung paano nila kontrolin ang isang gobyerno. Number 4, the Philippines is sovereign and independent state. Ang Pilipinas daw ay considered as soberanyente at independenteng estado. Even freshman political science, kahit daw ang mga freshman political science ng mga estudyante ay alam na ang Pilipinas ay nagtataglay ng basic four elements and attributes of a state. Una na nga dito ay ang mga tao, pangalawa ay teritoryo, pangatlo ay sovereignty, at ang pang-apat ay government. The Philippines is sovereign state co-equal with the United States. Resorting to a resolution without even conducting an investigation is an act of intrusion into Philippines and into Philippine affair and a mockery of Philippine sovereignty. It is a tantamount to dictating on our Supreme Court about what to do with pending cases. President Trump should be circumspect and prudent in considering U.S. Senate Resolution 142. So, sabi dito, si President Trump daw ay should be cautious and prudent considering U.S. Senate Resolution 142. Using a resolution without even conducting an investigation ay considered as an act of intrusion into Philippine affairs and a mockery of Philippine sovereignty. It is similar to saying that our Supreme Court know about what to do with such pending cases. Yun lang po.
Theories of the state. Most political theories of the state can roughly be classified into two categories. The first, which treats capitalism as a given, concentrates on the function of states in capitalist society. Theories of the variety view the state as a neutral entity distinct from both society and the economy. Most political theories of state focus on the role of states in a capitalist society, but there are also theories that view state as an independent entity distinct from society and economy. State theory can be broadly classified into two categories. One treats capitalism as a given and the other focuses on how states interact with the society. Next.
Marxist theory, the theory of Karl Marx which says that society classes are the cause of struggle and the society should have no classes. Marxism was the first publicity formulated in 1848 in the pamphlet The Communist Manifesto by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. The role of non-socialist state that is determined by its function in the global capitalist order. The ruling classes coordinate the exercise its rule of the other classes and thereby maintain its status as a ruling class. It examines the effect of capitalism on labor productivity and economic development and argues for a worker revolution to overturn capitalism in favor of communism. Ang theory daw po ng Marxist theory ay batay sa paghahanap para sa pagkakapantay-pantay ng klase na lahat ng klase ng lipunan. Ang teorya ng Marxist ay isang hanay ng mga ideyang pampolitika, pang-ekonomiya at panlipunan na nilikha noong kalagitnaan ng ikalabinsiyam ng siglo ni Karl Marx and ang kanyang katambal na si Friedrich Engels na binubuo ng pagbabago at pagkakasunod-sunod ng lipunan at pagpuno sa kapitalismo na nagkaroon ng mahusay na repercussion at impluwensya sa iba't ibang mga kaganap sa mundo. Yan po.
Karl Marx, full name Karl Heinrich Marx. Karl Marx was born in 5th of May, year 1818. He was one of 9 children. He was died on 24th of March, year 1883 in London, England. He lived in Rhineland region of Prussia previously under French rule. He was a philosopher, author, social theorist, and economist. And he was famous for his theory about capitalism and communism.
Pluralism. In government, the politic philosophy of pluralism anticipates that people with different interests, beliefs, and lifestyle will coexist peacefully and be allowed to participate in the governing process. Pluralists view society as a collection of individuals and groups competing for political power. An example of pluralism is a society where people with different cultural backgrounds keep their tradition. They view the state as a neutral arena for contending interests. The modern democratic state acts in the response to that are applied by a variety of related interests. So in pluralism, this is in the government, which is about the political philosophy na nag-anticipate ng mga tao na merong different interests, beliefs, and lifestyle na nagko-coexist peacefully. And pluralists view society as a collection of individuals and groups competing for political power. Naiintindihan naman natin to, which is the collections of individual lang na may mga group with political powers. And example naman pluralism ay yung society where may mga cultural background na nagkikip ng kanilang tradition. They view the state as neutral arena for contending interest. And modern democratic state acts in response to pressure which is nag-a-apply ng variety-related interests. Next po. Robert Allendale, in full name, was born on 17th of December, year 1950 in Inwood, I- Iowa, US. He died on 5th of February, year 2014 in Hamden, Connecticut. He is an American political scientist and educator, the leading theorist of political pluralism. Dahl stressed the role in politics played by associations, groups, and organizations. Developed the theory of the state as neutral arena for contending interests. He also viewed governmental agency as merely another set of competing interest groups. Dahl called this kind of state polyarchy Cruz 1982. So si Robert Dow he is born on December 17, year 1915. And kita niyo naman yung details kung saan siya namatay and kung saan siya pinanganak. And he is an American political scientist, educator. Isa siyang educator and scientist. And siya yung nagli-lead on siya yung leading theorist ng political pluralism. And he also developed the theory of state as neutral arena for contending interests. So yung about sa yung state ginawa niyang neutral arena for the interest of peoples. He also viewed governmental agency as merely another set of competing interest groups. They'll call this kind of state polyarchy. So next po. Oligarchy, which means rule by many, describes the process of democratization in contrast to democracy itself, a concept coined by American politics scientist Robert Dahl to donate accusations of democratic institutions within a political system that leads to the participation of plurality of actors. Ang polyarchy, which is, as nasabi ko kanina, which is developed by Robert Dahl, is, ang meaning niya talaga is rule by many. So parang tayo, which is may president tayo, may vice president, may mga leaders tayo na which is have their own positions. So next po. Lesson 2, function and importance of education in the society.
Education plays a very important role in all areas of society and is most responsible for the development of civilization as we know it. It has a manifold impact on society, from raising the quality of life to creating conditions conducive to the development of talented individuals capable of changing society. So when we are one of the educated people in the Philippines, mas nakakatulong na tayo sa ating sarili, sa ating pamilya, at lalong-lalo na sa ating bansa. Kasi nababawasan ang alalahanin ng bansa. And kapag tayo ay educated, mas malaki yung chance na makamit natin yung higher quality or higher standards of our life. And kapag kapag tayo isang edukadong tao, 'di ba sa school binibigyan tayo ng mga good good moral or good conduct, mas napapalawig nila or mas na ibibigay nila sa atin yung kaalaman na dapat maging aware tayo sa ating paligid kung paano tayo kikilos, mag-iisip at mamimili ng dapat ng mamimili ng tamang desisyon. And katulad nga ng sinasabi ng lahat na the most powerful weapon we can use to change the world is education. Next po. Functions of education. Socialization. It is the most significant function of education. Its functional theory stresses that education serves in fulfilling a society's various needs and feasibly. When we say feasibly, it means in a way that possible or practical to do or achieve. And it is the decision independently so that the individual in this later life period could perform his social roles and integrate in social structure with specific role or types. In school, socialization is the socialization is the process that people undergo to learn the attitude, like what I've said earlier, values and behaviors that are appropriate to members of a particular culture. It is a process by which individuals acquire a personal identity and learn the knowledge, language, and social skills required to interact with others. Next po. Emile Durkheim was born on 15th of April, year 1858 in Epinal, France. He was died on the 15th of November, year 1917 in Paris. He is a French sociologist and he developed a rigorous methodology combining empirical research with sociological theory. He widely regarded as the founder of the French School of Sociology. Next po. Social integration. So when we say integration, it means the process of uniting different things. The development of such common views was a goal of the system of free, compulsory education that developed in the 19th century. For a society to work, functionalists say people must subscribe to a common set of beliefs and values. The process of during which newcomers or minorities are incorporated into the social structure of the whole society. Significant objective of the English-only progression that also advocate for mostly using English to educate children whose native language is Spanish, Vietnamese, or some other language their own family speaks at households. Next po.
Creation of generation gap. Generation gap are simply caused by age and the situation of the world at the time one generation has grew up. For example, the belief and perception of those who grew up during World War II may be different from those who grew up in 1960s, though to be sure, similarities will remain. They are presumably prepared for their later station in life. Whether this process work as well as it should, it's an important issue. Refer to the fact that education can provide a tool for upward social and economic mobility, placing people in a higher or lower lower social classes based on the education level they have completed. Defined by the text is the use of education to improve one's social. In sociology, social placement reflect the role of the family unit in a social inequity. Ang panlipunang paglalagay ayon sa kahulugan ng teksto ay ang paggamit ng edukasyon upang mapabuti ang katayuan sa lipunan. Sa mas madaling salita, ito ay paglalagay ng mga tao sa mas mataas o mababang uri ng lipunan bagay sa antas ng edukasyon sa kanilang natapos.
Social innovation refers to the process developing and implementing new, effective solutions to the solve social or environmental issues. These ideas are created with the goal of extending and strengthening civil society. For example, working conditions, education, community development, or health. Number 4, culture innovation. Team cultural innovation refers to the innovations in the goods or services offered by a culture organization. Example of areas where cultural innovation may take place include languages, legal system, political system. Challenge existing decisions about how the organization is run to persistently push the organization to the better and better ways meeting needs of students. Additional information. Schools ideally perform important function in modern society. Functionalists view education as an important social institution that contribute both manifest and latent functions. Education also involves several latent functions like byproducts or of going to school as well as receiving an education rather than direct effect of the education itself.
School additional information. School ID.
Slide na po, sir.
Importance of education. Educational institutions are important in reproducing the existing belief system and practices of a particular society. It accomplishes this goal by allotting to the individual learners the rules they need to fulfill as an adult member of the society. Horace Mann, an American educational reformer, proposed that education could cure ills. He believed that education is the great equalizer by giving the people the knowledge and technical skill of participate in national development. Also, Horace Mann believed that more children needed to be given the opportunity to attend school. He even argued that education was the great equalizer and would greatly improve everyone. He has become known as the father of public education. Next po.
Education is one of the most pervasive institutions that determines one's future status. Hence, many people believe in education-based meritocracy or the belief that education is the great equalizer and the key to succeed. Filipinos, for example, believe in the value of education that they are willing to sacrifice everything just to finish college. So education helps an individual meet basic job qualifications and makes them more likely to secure better jobs. Education shows us the value of hard work and help us in our growth and development. Many individuals believe in the importance of education and will do everything to complete college since it provides us more opportunities in the future.
Social and political stratification. Sociologists use the term social stratification to describe the system of social standing. Karl Marx looked at it in terms wealth produced in relation to the ownership of means of production. For example, if you are the owner of the company, you get most of the profits gained by your company's operation compared to that of your employees. Wealth may refer to the money, properties, and similar tangible resources.
Max Weber, on the other hand, differentiates them into three: wealth, power, and prestige. Individuals' social standing can be pressured all at once based on their relative access of these three. For example, a college professor may have less power and less wealth, but she enjoys a lot of prestige. A government employee may have less wealth and less prestige, but she may have more power. Political stratification can be related to norms, values, class, structures, status groups, associations, and laws, which structure the relations between individuals. Next po.
Sheila, naka-off mic mo.
The concept of social stratification, social exclusion. It is a process by which individuals are cut off from full involvement in the wider circles of society. May be due to poor housing, lack of employment, inferior schools, or limited transportations. Leads to lack of opportunities for self-improvement, meaning individuals are cut off from full participation in society through the process of social exclusion. It could be related to a lack of housing, work, education, or transit options. Systems of stratification. Close, impose rigid boundaries between social groups. Limit interaction between members who belong to different social groups or occupy different levels in social hierarchy. Resistant to change in social roles. Open, mainly based on achievement, allowing more flexibility in social roles, increased social mobility, and better interaction. In close stratification, it is about interaction between members of different social groups that should be limited, while open stratification is it allows for greater social freedom which is mainly focused on achievement and improvement of interactions. Next po.
System of stratification. A closed stratification system because people are unable to change their social standing. Caste system promote belief in fate, destiny, and the will of higher spiritual power rather than promotion of individual freedom. People born into caste society are socialized to accept their standing for the rest of their lives. There are no opportunities to improve one's social position. Next po.
System of stratification, class system. Stratification system based on ownership of resources and the individual's occupation or profession. A social class is composed of people who share the same background and characteristic, income, education, and occupation.
Class system. People are free to move from one social class to another and achieve higher status in life. Through education and employment, openness in class system result in prevalence of exogamous marriages. Next po.
Next slide po. System of stratification. Society in general still remains strongly influenced by other factors such as inheritance and pressure to conform. Theoretical perspective on social stratification. Conflict theory takes critical view of social stratification, considers society as benefiting only a small segment. Stratification causes inequality, drawn from ideas of Karl Marx. Next slide po. Theoretical perspective on social stratification. Conflict theory. Karl Marx. Social stratification is influenced by economic forces, and relationships in society are defined by factors of production. Two groups. Theoretical perspective on social stratification. Conflict theory. Karl Marx inequality causes workers to experience alienation, isolation, and great misery due to powerless status. This leads to class conflict. Next slide po.
Symbolic Interactorism. Micro-level perspective. Attempts to explain how people's social standing affects their everyday interaction. Leads to interaction within the same class. Stratification becomes a system that groups people, interest, background, way of life. Next po.
Theoretical perspective on social stratification. Symbolic interactionism. People appearance reflect their perceived social standing. Theory of conspicuous consumption. Buying certain products to make a social statement about a status. Next po.
Social mobility. Two main types of social mobility. Upward mobility. Upward movement in social class may be through education, employment, or marriage. Second is downward mobility. Lowering of social class brought by economic setbacks, unemployment, illness, and dropping out of school.
Social mobility. Ability
ability of individual or groups of chance their position within social stratification system of individual processes for lower to highest class of how they lose their status and occupy much lower position of society, major faction, economic status.
So that's all, guys. Thank you for watching and listening. Once again, we are the Group 1.
May free shoutout daw po, baka gusto nyo.
Baka po may gustong magtanong.